let's see what this is about, because I used to work for a migrant shelter. Oh, it's in the Sonoran Desert. This is where I work. Outside Arivaca? That's right by here. Hold up. That's right by here. This is our sector. Okay, look. Look, I live over here, right? I live over here, right? Arivaca is down here, and this is the border. We would get everybody coming in from San Luis all the way from AP. Sometimes we would even get people that would cross into New Mexico. It just depended. Border Patrol would bring them all to us at the Tucson sector. Arivaca is right here, right? So this is relatively close to here. You know, I'm from like over here. Wait, sorry, I'm like from like over here. So it's like between, you know, this is right around my corner. So, Jim Chilton, 84. He prepares to drive unaware of what he might find. He tells his wife, "Do you have your sat phone?" He makes sure he has a gun in his case. And bottles of migrants. Bottles of water for the migrants he's seen wandering. I'm gonna be honest with you. Despite the, I don't know, the way a lot of the ranchers that live on the border come off in regards to I'm gonna protect my land type. It's actually very normal for them to leave water out and to give water out, which one would think is not normal. But they'll call Border Patrol right away. Obviously, you know, anybody who's claiming asylum wants to be contacted by Border Patrol anyways. It's how you get your asylum claim, so it's not like it's a bad thing. They don't want people to die on their land. Okay, so this is true. It's one of the busiest quarters of undocumented immigration. When I started working there, we were getting over 1,200 people every single day crossing through the Arizona sector. So from here to here, 1,200 people every day. That's just this fraction of the border, right? And that was ongoing for months. I was worked there from March to December of last year, and from like June, July after, the numbers really, really spiked. People, I think, were trying to beat the winter. A lot of people were going to New York City. It's something that's been worrying me a lot lately. This is I don't know, the amount of people I personally helped get to New York City, even though I was advising them the whole time. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't sending them willy-nilly. I was telling them how there's no more resources in New York City, how cold it was, how they wouldn't have shelter, blah blah blah. Especially single men. We were getting a lot of single men from West Africa, Senegal, Guinea, and Mauritania, and they wouldn't hear no for an answer necessarily. They understood that there wasn't any other place in the U.S. that would accommodate them to the degree that they would in New York City. Some of them would go to places like Columbus and Cleveland. Quite a lot of them were going to Ohio. Don't know why. I'm assuming there's some sort of community already there. Okay, look, yeah, a record 300,000 in the month of December. That's the last month I worked. That comes out to about 1,000 a day. 10,000 a day, sorry. We would get 1,200 just in our sector. So this article is about how they're trying to grasp their mind around it. It's a cartel war, and it's a drug crisis, it's a national security. Here's a picture of holes in the border wall. People will just walk around and then go through, and then they'll get apprehended by Border Patrol immediately. And then Border Patrol will take them to a station, process them, ID them, make sure their story's enough to try to claim asylum. And once they've been ID'd and they have proof of sponsor, phone number and address and name of sponsor, they can be ID'd that will accept them. Only then are they let into the U.S. So this whole myth of people just flooding the border and running everywhere is fucking, it's a myth. I've seen it personally with my own eyes. Okay. So there was a canyon around here where Border Patrol was shot by coming upon drug smugglers. Most drugs are smuggled through ports of entry. Sometimes they'll get smuggled across. The thing with drug smuggling is the fact, anyway and always, you try to put it in because they can't stop everyone. You'll lose product obviously, but you're making so much that you can lose, you can lose tens of thousands of dollars worth, millions of dollars worth of inventory because of how much you're pushing in. If Border Patrol's admitted like 1 in 100 that pass by get caught. You know, so it's very profitable. Okay, so Brian Best volunteer aid from Tucson. So a lot of people were going down to the border to help water and stuff like that. Border Patrol was letting these people freeze outside. In December, it's getting very cold, below freezing on the desert, and they would have them wait overnight. You'd see a bunch of Haitian and Indian men, mostly single men, just standing out in the cold, freezing. So, cartel guides, the way it works is a vast process. But normally, these people, they're coming from over here, or if they're coming from Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, and Guatemala. That's where we're getting the most. We saw a little bit from Peru, but almost exclusively Ecuador the most, Guatemala the most, then Colombia, Venezuela. You will see Haitians as well, a little bit of Cubans, Mauritanians, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Senegal. And then we would get a buckload of Indians. About half of the people that came through were Indian. And then we would even get a lot of Chinese. I personally saw maybe a dozen Chinese come through in my 9 months there. But remember, this is only one sector of the border. I would only work 40 hours a week, etc., etc., etc. So it's obviously more. Anyways, so they have group chats and stuff like that to figure out ways to get over here. Mostly, they'll usually fly a ticket. They'll spend all their money to get a ticket to Cancun or to Mexico City, or from Cancun to Mexico City. And then they'll usually hitchhike or pay a bus or something to get up there. The ones that come with money will sometimes even fly into Hermosillo up here, and then from there bus it or hitchhike up to the border. They have WhatsApp groups on how to cross, how to communicate. The ones that are coming from down here are crossing and walking all the way up here. They used to think this pass right here, they used to think this was impassable, but now we know it's not. They cross in hordes. Like they give out wristbands. You pay like $10 to cross on a fucking ferry like you're at Disney World. It's a whole ass streamlined capitalistic process. It's not what we used to think it was, where people couldn't cross through. So they're coming up and they're paying for protection to cross through. Always reported that Mexican police would rob them. Always. They said that cartel and the police would rob them, but the police were worse up in Mexico. They would hide as much money as they could, but they would get robbed of almost everything when they're crossing. So these people come usually penniless. When they get here, they contact family. And when they contact their family, that's how they're able to afford tickets to get back home. And by home, I mean wherever their destination is in the U.S. We wouldn't help provide methods of how to get there. We would just give them internet and a night to stay and food so they could contact their family. And then they would go to the airport, and from there, they would make their way, right? Now, I'm going to have you guess. Why do you think the people who are coming over from specifically countries like Ecuador are coming here? You know, Ecuador, Guatemala, Central and South America. Well, there's this thing called the drug war. Now, the Americans love drugs, specifically cocaine. Recently, fentanyl went up, but it's always been moneymaker. It's cocaine, right? 3 countries that love it the most: Americans, Canadians, and then the UK because of the Scottish. So there's big money in Mexico. They found out that they can go to Ecuador. The Mexicans found out, and our friends over here, where you assholes at? Right here. Our Albanian friends. Mexican and Albanian cartels are in Ecuador. They went in with full force to extort the local gangs and to get control of shipping routes. Because from Ecuador, they can ship via plane and via boat up here at Vancouver, for example, or can cross the Panama Canal, come right up here, and boom, hit that way. Prime shipping routes for anybody trying to ship cocaine. Now, here's the thing. Because of this, they're going with full force. They're spending lots of money to kill people, to go in and control these routes. Same thing through up here. There's still the traditional smuggling routes, you know, through the ports of entry, And across the border, when I was in prison, I met quite a few people who would smuggle through the ports and just fucking crossing, you know? Now here's the thing. Would this be happening if it was decriminalized or legal in the US? Cocaine primarily, but other drugs. If the Sinaloa cartel, you know, if my cousins were able to have a actual trade deal with the United States, with Canada, with Mexico, I mean not with Mexico, with the UK and pay their taxes, do you think they would be killing people in the streets for control and stuff like that? Well, because tycoons do kind of still do that, yes, but like no. You understand what I'm saying? And that's really what like the crux of these issues are, is that the U.S. is very insistent on criminalizing and penalizing anybody who tries to provide them the thing that they love, like it's a fucking game for them. So this is pretty cool because they mention it's like a mini United Nations in the middle of nowhere. I've never seen anything like it, which is true. The amount of people that I saw from everywhere in the world that were crossing the border, just like here, you know, I saw people from Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Mauritania, Senegal, then Guinea, India, Nepal. We would get quite a lot of Nepalese, Bangladesh, and China. Oh, Uzbeks. We got a lot of Uzbeks. I actually saw one Russian family on my last day. One Russian family. But like people from literally all over the fucking world, you know, all crossing this tiny ass little, you know, here. My whole life growing up here, you know, I've only really known Mexicans, a few blacks, almost no whites until I went to college. And so like, I don't know, very cultural, culture shock to have like all these people flooding through the border now, you know. A lot of them are staying here now. I personally made friends with a Dominican woman who was going to go to New York City. She decided to stay in town. I see her at my local grocery store at the pharmacy. She lives in my neighborhood now. And so it's like, I don't know, it's very interesting to just see the, I don't know, in a few years it's going to be crazy because this is like the second largest, actually, this is the largest migrant flood the U.S. has ever gotten. Like, it was higher than Ellis Island. Ellis Island was 4,000 people. Oh, sorry, 400 people a day. It was 300, it was about 10,000 people a day this last few months. So biggest migrant flood ever in American history. So I'm interested to see how the culture is going to change in the next 10, 15, 20 years, you know? So they are going to be deporting people coming up. Biden's already started deporting people. He already started sending Mexicans back. There's been quite a few Mexicans who have tried claiming asylum, but fleeing from violence isn't a legal asylum claim. So people are getting sent back. It's going to be one of the things you're going to see coming up, and whoever the next president is the controversy of what to do with all these migrants that are here. You know? Yeah. Look, not only were they asking directions in Spanish, but Mandarin, Pashto, Urdu, Hindi. I can't even explain how many languages I saw crossing that border. It's insane just how many people. See, look, the people from Guinea said they spent their life savings flying from Istanbul to Bogota to Nicaragua. Then they spent 12 nights sleeping in the desert before they crossed, and then they had help crossing the border. Right? This is a scene you see every day. Kids, families just waiting to cross and then waiting for border patrol to apprehend them and then help them normally in other places. So we have here on the border here we have a shelter that takes them. I no longer work there, but as many people as they can help take in here and then to help to go to other places. But they don't do that out here where they're fucking complaining in Brownsville, Nuevo Laredo. Where's fuck Brownsville? Where the fuck is Brownsville? Am I?
Who did that? Was that you?
Oh no, I was looking at the right place. Yeah, I was looking at the right place. So like down here, like there's some places where when they cross, Border Patrol just leaves them at a fucking gas station. They don't, no translator, no food, no nothing, no explanation how to get anywhere where you need to go. you see the way they frame this? In the past few years, Lowell has watched the cartel expand from drug trafficking to human migration so it could profit from rising instability around the world and shifting immigration policies in the U.S. No, they're profiting because of what the U.S. is doing around the world. Now nobody crosses without paying cartels. It's true. It's very true. But the thing is that I don't know. Maybe if you had a proper immigration system instead of rewarding people for crossing the world and risking their lives to claim amnesty to get into the country, then people, we'd have a different situation. You know, if you didn't criminalize the main method of business that the Americans already more than accept, from these cartels, maybe they wouldn't be involved in human trafficking. It's just like the cartels you had here with the Italians. Look at gambling. One of the biggest ways they used to make their money was gambling. And then Vegas happened, and then the Supreme Court ruling happened. Now they're the biggest businesses in the U.S. It's ridiculous. These are pretty shots, but pregnant lady cross. Okay. I guess this is a news story for anybody who's never seen it, like people are crossing heavily pregnant, having their babies on the border, like people are coming from all around the world, but like this is old news. Like I guess it's good that I'm covering this for the chat because I don't think I've gone to such in depth before, you know. Um, but I've seen this personally with my eyes, so I kind of have a bit of experience regarding the situation. Anyways, I've been going on that shit for almost half an hour. It's time to end the stream. It's gonna be the same time tomorrow. I got stuff to do. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I love y'all.